At first glance, Billy Hatcher seems to be like pretty much any other 3D platformer in the Super Mario 64 vein. Gather a bunch of star equivalents, unlock new levels and new worlds, and then finally collect enough of those star equivalents to challenge a final boss. And while this game definitely has all that, what you're actually doing in the moment-to-moment gameplay is almost completely different to what you're used to. As the name of both the game itself and its protagonist might suggest, this game is about eggs, and everything in the game revolves around them, from combat to puzzles to collecting to just the general aesthetic of the game. Every single aspect of Billy Hatcher is entirely centered around eggs, and it definitely gives the game a very unique, quirky feel that not a lot of other games manage to create. And that's something that Sega can really nail when they're trying to. In more recent years, the company has kind of become known as the company that doesn't really take a lot of risks. The company that just pumps out games in the same old franchises over and over. And while that might be true now, the Dreamcast, GameCube, original Xbox era Sega was very much still interested in taking risks, putting out all sorts of weird stuff that tends to be pretty fondly remembered. Games like Jet Grind Radio, Super Monkey Ball, and Space Channel 5. And Billy Hatcher definitely deserves a place on that list, because unlike a lot of more well-known platformers from this particular era, Billy Hatcher holds up really well today, mostly thanks to its egg-centric mechanics. So many platformers from this period blend together, it's really hard to distinguish one from the other, but this one sets itself apart with how it plays. Throughout every single level in the game, you're rolling eggs, which you can use to jump higher, attack enemies, toggle switches. You basically become completely powerless if you lose your egg. But there's also an impetus to hatch the eggs, to gain companions with special powers, or just add more critters to your collection, so it's a trade-off. However, the game can sometimes make it a little too easy to unintentionally lose your egg. Between the camera and the combat's reliance on manual aim, I sent the egg careening off cliffs or into enemies that destroyed the egg in a single hit a bit too much, which results in you having to hunt for another egg or restarting from a checkpoint if it happened to be a mission-critical egg. Now, I have no problem with the game requiring skill in egg handling, but having to wrestle with a camera constantly is definitely one of my least favorite things to do in a 3D platformer from any era, especially if I'm gonna have to do it with the C-stick. But camera struggles are honestly something that comes with the territory in a lot of these older platformers. You do eventually learn to deal with it, though it never becomes a particularly pleasant experience. But Billy Hatcher is very much a game that is worth powering through for. Its one-of-a-kind egg-based combat and puzzle-solving mechanics are an interesting twist on the relatively standardized platformer conventions, and it remains surprisingly unique today. Every Monday, I look at a game that came out at least 10 years ago, what I would consider to be retro, and I see if it's held up today, if it's still worth playing now. If you like that idea, be sure to subscribe so you can see the latest videos. If you like this video in particular, be sure to hit that like button, and thanks for watching.